All right, what are we talking about today? We are talking about real estate, of course, as we always do on these above the noise videos. Cole Billings, Sam DeLay with Varsity Real Estate. We still do that, right? We announced we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One thing we as we kind of talking about what do we want to discuss on this, we came up with a current theme that we're noticing right now in real estate and a lot of our transactions and the transactions happening within Varsity. And that is expect the unexpected, right? I mean, it's life, it's real estate. It can be messy at times, although as much as we try and work hard towards to smooth things out, like life happens and stuff comes up. So what are some scenarios that we've experienced as of late that have been maybe a little bit on the messier side and expect the unexpected?
Yeah, I think there's two things we want to touch on. The first one is planning associated with our closing timelines. All of us, we do our very best with our clients to make sure that we have really clear expectations associated with when a property is going to close, how the move-in timeline might work. But one thing that's really common right now is that a lot of the sellers in the market are also purchasing at the same time or possibly moving out of the area and purchasing another property.
Would be a contingent offer.
Yeah, it would be a contingent offer. And so because of that, unexpectedly, there can be delays with a property's closing that works its way downstream to impact our closing date or our move-in timeline.
Which is completely out of our control, right? Or anybody's control for that matter, right? And that's why these contingent offers can be difficult, is because you're placing your hope and trust in this other party that they're going to perform and that one's going to close as expected.
Yeah, so one thing that we like to do is try to create some buffers. Try not to line up closing with another simultaneous closing and giving sellers the appropriate amount of time to move out of a property. We've run into some really sticky situations where both parties, I think, ended up being dissatisfied with the timelines that ended up shaking out. And like we said before, a lot of that's out of our control. But I think just being aware of it's our job to help make sure that we can create as much space and time and work in collaboration with the other agent to make sure that both parties' timelines seem reasonable and can be met.
Yeah, we get it. Everybody's eager, right? It's a brand new home. You should be excited. People want to get into it. They want to start, making it theirs. But it's smart and maybe prudent to allow and build in some sort of buffer for what you can control. So this might look like, for instance, if you get keys on 5 p.m. on a Thursday, let's say, don't have your movers lined up for 5:01. Might be a good idea. Allow a little bit of time just to make sure that everything does happen on time, and that way you don't have this moving truck with movers sitting out on the driveway where you don't even actually own the property yet because there was some sort of snag that was unexpected. So just build in as much as you can, as much as allowable, some time for those kinks to work themselves out, and it'll greatly reduce the stress if and when you run into one of those bumps.
Yeah, this is something that's affecting our buyers a lot. Now, Sam, we talked earlier about pre-home inspections and trying to get a home inspection prior to listing a property. There's unexpected snags that come with home inspections. And right now, due to the sensitivity within the market, we're really trying to make sure that we can diminish as many challenges up front before we hit the market. Can you give us a little bit of insight on how to strategize and to do that effectively?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, this might change and very dependent upon the home, right? If it's a couple-year-old home, might start making a little bit less sense to do a pre-home inspection. But by and large, like anything can be wrong on any given house at any given time. So if you're going to do a pre-home inspection, it might cost you in our market anywhere from about $400 to $600, depending on the size of the home. You have a third-party inspector come through, look top to bottom, and produce a report and say, hey, here's the things that I see as potential issues with this home. The nice thing from there is, okay, now you've got everything laid out in front of you. You know what to expect, and you can start checking those things off the list, be it by yourself. If you're handy enough, you can hire a handyman or plumber, or you name it, to address those issues. And then the nice thing on top of that is if and when you get a buyer that's interested in your home, you can hand that information off to them and say, hey, look, we've done a lot of this work for you already, and it really sheds a lot of light on the whole situation, so everybody knows what they're dealing with, as opposed to, hey, we're 5 days or 10 days into this agreement, this contract we have between buyer and seller, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, there's mold, or there's a structural issue, or whatever it is that freaks the buyer out. And then you're left having maybe to go back on market or negotiate something in a more stressful way that could have been handled earlier up front. that fair?
Good talk.
Something else that you might want to consider too, because if you're within the city limits of Bend, you have to get this home energy audit that the city of Bend implemented a couple of years back. And so if you're in the city limits, you're doing a kind of a pseudo home inspection anyways. It's much, I don't know, what would you call it? Much less intense or thorough. It's more looking at the energy usage of your house. But you can couple that oftentimes with the same inspector with a whole house home inspection. That'll give you a little bit of a discount and break on the price, and then you get all that information up front.
We found that getting a pre-home inspection, while it costs the seller some initial money up front and also could then cost the homeowner some additional costs associated with possibly hiring a handyman, a contractor, a roofer, a plumber, electrician, whatever that trade might be. There are some upfront expenses, but in the long run, I think it's actually beneficial to the seller and most likely costs less than trying to have a buyer go out and hire their own subs to go get work done on your house that they don't actually own yet when you're in contract.
So let's say you're a seller, you have this pre-listing home inspection done, and you hand it over to the buyer eventually when they come along. Does that buyer still get their own home inspection?
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
They have the option to use the home inspection that your seller has chosen to have themselves, but they also can go out and hire their own third-party inspector if they want a second set of eyes. I would say it's about a 50-50 split. But I think at the end of the day, the goal is to provide confidence and clarity for a buyer, especially in our market right now where there's a lot of uncertainty. And a pre-home inspection with those items checked off as being handled by a professional contractor adds another layer of confidence that you just simply can't provide without having it done.
Yeah. We always say confident buyers buy. And if you can remove more of those obstacles or give them more information, the chance of their confidence going up is going to be high. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about the market a little bit, as we always do in these videos. Things can change quite a bit in a month, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
If we're looking back at this last month especially, there's a lot of tariff talk, there's interest rates, there's volatility, there's uncertainty. How has that affected our local market? Answer either per the data or per just what you're feeling in your gut right now and what you're seeing out there.
So the data that's come out thus far through the first quarter over the past 3 months has indicated that we've had higher number of transactions come to has indicated that we've had more transactions within the marketplace. Our median sales price has gone up. The number of transactions has gone up, and our inventory has actually stayed the same. So as more homes come to market at the current rate that buyers are consuming, we haven't really seen a shift in how many available homes are on the market.
Sitting at about 3 months worth of inventory.
Yeah, absolutely. So in theory, all of those signs are pointing to a positive place within the market, in that the prices are slowly increasing, the number of activity within the market's rising, and people are transacting. With that said, I think the feeling in the sense that we get where we are today, as we mentioned before, is there's quite a bit of volatility. I think people are grasping for control, whether you're a buyer or seller. There's a lot of fear in the overall markets outside of the real estate market, and it's definitely impacted the confidence that buyers are stepping into in transacting.
Mm-hmm.
For sellers, I think it's obviously caused some fear and concern. People are worried about their home, whether it's an asset or something that they're personally living in and trying to transact and move on to another property. And so that's required a lot of coaching from us, a lot of guidance from us. We're obviously here to try to be a steady hand through the turmoil of what's going on economically and outside of our market. And unfortunately, a lot of that's outside of our control. So whatever you're experiencing out there and might be feeling, that's stuff that we felt as well and that we're feeling within our business. I think overall, we're focused on being optimistic and focusing on the aspects of the market that we can control within our sales business. And that's where we're really pouring our energy into.
Yeah.
What are you feeling?
Great question, Cole. Feeling a lot of the similar things, that buyers don't have the highest of confidence right now, and sellers are feeling some of that. We are seeing that the overall price reductions in the market are coming down. We're seeing about 38% of homes or listings sitting on the market right now have experienced some sort of price reduction. So there still are people out there that are, correcting and adjusting their pricing to align with what the market's telling them. And I think buyers are kind of seeing that, and some are just being really patient. They're waiting for the very right thing. They will jump, they will offer, but it's got to be the right thing for them. They're not going to stretch right now. They're not going to make any foolish decisions. It's got to jump off the page as a value to them in order to actually really get excited. So they're out there, they're shopping. They may not be offering day one, but they're offering. We did see the days on market come down this past month to about, I think it's hovering right around 31 days on market. It was up there near 50 the month previous. So it really shows you that the velocity of our market is picking up steam, which is common and consistent with this time of year. So I think those things are all pointing to good signs. But yes, like you do have to be nimble. You do have to stay focused on what the market's telling you. And I would also say, don't be fearful. There's a lot of noise out there in the market. There's a lot of people that just react knee-jerk to the headlines. And while it's good to stay informed and know what's going on out there in the world, try to resist the urge to just get caught up in the emotion of it all, and know that there's a voice of reason out there that can cut through all of it. And at the end of the day, if you're a buyer thinking, oh my gosh, the sky's falling, should I buy, should I not buy? The answer is going to be, and what's best for you in your life and your timing right now. Does it make sense on paper for you, and not necessarily like, am I timing this the absolute best timing I could absolutely make? Because nobody's ever going to do that. If they claim they did, they got very, very lucky. So you really just have to make the best decision for you and where you're currently at in your life.
We're excited to hear from you. We're here to be a guide, hopefully a voice of reason through these interesting times that we're all facing. We appreciate all the inflow of business that's been coming our way through referrals from either past clients, other members of the real estate community. We have extreme gratitude for the work that we continue to able to do for our clients. So thank you all. We look forward to seeing you guys out and about within our community. Be well.